Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 24. Today is mostly about planning the new farm area, and also about fixing small errors in the way our rail network is laid out. We will also start distributing the fuel we began producing in the last episode, so that is another very expensive import taken care of. Also, just FYI, I had several crashes happen while recording this episode, so there will be a couple moments where the video will be a bit weird, right after autosaves. I tried to make it as seamless as possible, but there are things that are beyond my control. Windows closing, overlays disappearing, things like that. The frequency of these crashes is starting to worry me. The part where I was placing the fields had to be recorded 4 times. Anyways, let's get started. A viewer caught a mistake I made while playing around with the refinery setup. I forgot to reconnect the drop-off station, so that's the first thing we need to take care of. Next, I neglected to remove the dirt roads around the oil field. We don't need them anymore, so they are history. Of course, I don't like having packed dirt where it's not necessary, so I'll give this area a go over with the Restore Soil tool. I also noticed that the terrain around that hillside pump jack is a bit too artificial. Smoothing it out should take care of it. Next, I'll need to take care of this junction. When I was planning the network, I didn't expect to use it as a T-junction, but time makes fools of us all, so now I need to deal with it. Proper signaling is of course essential, although I'll need to remove a couple of them while construction is underway. In order to distribute the fuel we make to every corner of the Republic, we will need to build at least 2 distribution offices. Only 20 assignments can be given to each, and we have way more than 20 buildings that use fuel. To speed things up, I'll also upgrade the road going to the storage tanks. To keep housing our ever-expanding population, I'll need to keep building more apartment blocks. Of course, now that we are getting close to the new update, housing quality is a metric we need to keep an eye on. Unfortunately, the way we have the roads laid out right now is not very accommodating to our expansion plans. I'll take care of that now, by upgrading the gravel segments to asphalt, and return to it once it's all done. It seems I need to remove a couple more signals. No problem, it's a short segment that we will need to re-signal later. And that's one T-junction done. Time to replace the signals we had to remove in order to build it. And of course this turnaround is no longer necessary to have, so it can be demolished. Okay, one road is done. We can start placing new houses. And here, we have the first autosave we had to roll back to, due to a crash. Finally, we have the helicopter being not just airborne, but it will actually manage to fly all the way to the fire before the trucks can put it out. Of course, this single small block isn't going to be enough to house everyone, so a couple more are needed, at least for now. No way I'd accept that kind of asymmetry. We can do better. Not 100% perfect, but I doubt it will be noticeable without the grid, so I'll go with it. Time to see where I can start the new farm area. I'll go ahead and disable the clouds and the graphics options. I want to have a clean view of the countryside. The most logical choice is this nice open plain, behind the original industrial zone. There are a couple bauxite patches pretty close together here, but they seem to be mostly on the top of the hills, so we might be able to exploit them and still have the farms at the foot of these hills. Anyways, the first fuel depot is finished, so I'll need to choose what trucks to use. Due to the distances involved, both speed and capacity is important. The white W50 FA seemed to be a pretty decent choice. Again, more distractions. This time the coal processing is done. I'll just add it to the bus stop, set up the worker priorities, and it is ready to go. decided to place the central buildings first, and deal with the farm fields later. Of course, we need to process the crops into food. Then, we need to store that food. I will end up blocking the rail connection for this during this planning phase, but it should be an easy fix in the next episode. The second fuel depot is done. Time to buy the trucks for it. Before I start setting up the deliveries, I'll wait for the access roads to the storage tanks to be finished. Back to the farm. Of course, we will need to store the grain we harvest. As we learned, 2 of them feeding the food factory will be enough, as long as we only use it to feed the population. Next, we can start thinking about meat production. For that, we will need a livestock farm. Okay, the roads going to the tanks is finished. Time to set up the fuel deliveries. First, I'll tell both DOs where to pick up the fuel, and to keep each other stocked up, so they run as smooth as possible. I'll use the overlays to look for the buildings I want them to deliver to, at least at first. To start out, I'll need the fuel stations to be stocked. Here, I realize that using the building list might be a more reliable way of adding every possible building to the DOs. Nope, that was the farm field. We need the DO. That should take care of the distribution offices. Okay, time to switch to the other one, and keep adding deliveries. Next, we need to add the construction offices. Unfortunately, the small one that houses the buses doesn't have an internal fuel storage, so those will have to rely on going to the gas station for fuel. The farm of course needs it. Let's not forget the fire stations. Of course, you may have noticed that we already added the one with the helipad, so we can skip that one. Next, a hospital. The rail CO also needs it, especially since there is no fuel station on the rails, so it's extra important. Lastly, the secret police and the road maintenance depot. And that should be it. Now, I only have to remove all these assignments from the old distribution offices, so we stop buying it at the border, and instead start fully relying on domestic gas. Oh. Right. I almost forgot about the quarries. Okay. Back to the farm. The livestock also needs grain, so I'll just add the same double silo setup I did for the food factory. I have no idea how important it is to store the animals we raise. For now, I'll just connect the livestock farm and the abattoir together, and see how it goes. I do know, however, to have a refrigerated storage, so we can store the meat we produce. With this farm, I'll inadvertently box in the warehouse and block its rail connection. Should be an easy fix for the next episode. We can just move it down a little. The refinery road is a very convenient place to use as a connection point for this farm. At least temporarily. I want to place a road along the rail main line in the future. Yes, I did just notice that the rail substation is not connected to the roads. Fortunately for us, dirt roads are free, so even if it did catch fire, it would have been a non-issue. And yet more housing is needed. 2 bigger blocks should do us some good. Well, not yet. We have some ground to level out, and it wouldn't hurt to have asphalt roads everywhere before we commit to anything. Before I place the fields, I want to make sure we have everything. We need distribution offices to move the harvest from the fields to the silos. And another distraction. This time, the old heating plant ran out of coal. As it turns out, the steel mill is running so efficiently that we cannot keep up with its coal demands, even with the new processing plant. First of all, there is still a constant flow of coal, so the old dumpers delivering it are still not enough. As a first step, I'll replace them with something new. Next, I'll change the line, so they will wait to be fully loaded at the coal storage. This will disable line spacing, but that's not a big issue. I just want to make sure they deliver as much as they physically can. While we wait things to settle down, I'll quickly change the paint job on these new trucks. Since they are delivering coal, black should be the logical choice. Thankfully, the newer and bigger heating plant is more than capable of heating the town, so there was never any danger. Raw coal ore is not the problem. The steel mill is consuming it too fast. Since we are producing more than enough steel for now, lowering the number of workers might not be the worst idea. And it's already slowly bouncing back. 200 employees should be good for now. Those are too crooked for my liking. Using the side entrances will be better, and I'll just use ground textures later to give the illusion of a connected front. The fuel storage is filling up way too fast. We are not using it nearly enough. If it gets full, we will stop producing bitumen too. To prevent that, I'll add another train, so we can start selling it in small quantities. Okay, time to place a few fields. Would you look at that? Every important part of the rail network is officially complete. With this, we can start using trains to move the food around. First, I'll let the track layer leave this area, and I'll start signaling. Okay, time to buy the food train. And since we no longer need them, we can finally sell all the trucks that were distributing the bread until now. The fuel train has no clear way back to the pickup station. Another oversight on my part. When planning the network, I did not expect to have a train do this particular line. I'll just tell it to move to the town warehouse from the border, as a temporary solution, until I retrofit the junction to accommodate this route. I didn't plan on having the refinery there at the time, so I didn't expect any train moving between that station and the border only. I really need to take future-proofing more seriously. And of course, in my haste, I started retrofitting the wrong junction. The game will crash soon, so I'll manage to fix this error sooner than I would have otherwise. Also, that chain signal is facing the wrong way. It seems I wasn't paying too much attention. An awkward autosave cut coming in. 3, 2, 1. I had to place these fields 4 times before I managed to make it to the next autosave. Messing around with the rails seemed to be really making the game unstable. Oh, yeah, almost forgot to fix the rails. Here, I gave in and ended up using the dev tool to send the train home automatically. I feel really dirty for doing it. It feels way too cheaty, and I would much rather do it properly. But I was really fed up with the crashes at this point, so I kind of gave in to the dark side. Alright, that should be 18 fields. Since we have these new agro-farm buildings, I might use that to collect the harvest, and use the 2 distribution offices to move the grain from the farm to the silos. I'll have to see how things go. Just in case, I'll leave these gravel roads open-ended, since they are pointing towards valleys that go deeper into the country. They might end up being important roads down the line. Seems we only have 17 fields. I'll add one more. Okay, time to do the correct junction this time. Hey, we just broke 1 million rubles. And we are debt-free. We now officially have more money than we started out with. Good times. That housing block in the back cannot reach the hospital. Adding a couple extra footpaths should fix this problem. Unfortunately, there is not enough room behind the cinema. Anyways, the last crash cut is coming up. At least in this particular episode. I'm not proud of myself for resorting to this dev tool exploit to send the track layer home. My only excuse is that I was really fed up with the crashes, and I just wanted to finish the episode quickly. Another viewer asked me to rename an area for them. This time, they asked to use the name of their cat, who sadly passed away. I am really sorry for your loss. I asked which area you'd like me to name after him, but I didn't hear back in time, unfortunately. Let me know if the oil fields, which is another very important part of the country, is a suitable place. If you'd like me to use another area, just let me know. To prevent future crashes from erasing too much progress, I'll change the frequency of autosaves. 10 minutes is about a month of game time, so when I lose that amount of work, it really grinds my gears. Now that the junction is expanded, the warehouse stop for the fuel train can be removed. The new farms are a bit too far away from the construction yard, so I will need to add a temporary dirt road connection, so I won't have to babysit the entire process with the construction assignment tool. For the next episode, I already know that the new farm needs a bit of extra love and care. It needs at least one firehouse, a second distribution office, power, and a bus stop. We also need to move that agro farm, so it doesn't block the warehouse's rail connection. I did a short test run to see how things go once it's all built, and I have a suspicion that we might have to build a second farm parking lot, and place another 18 fields. I wouldn't mind doubling it up, to be perfectly honest. It would make more sense to have all this infrastructure laid out for a more substantial agro area. We won't be able to move the fresh meat with trains though. It's a very slow production commodity, so I'm not convinced it's worth building a whole new train station just for that. Trucks can deal with it. We will of course need a storage in town, and distribute it from there. I'll figure it out. Anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you did, dropping a like and subscribing to the channel just might motivate me to make more. Until then, see you later.